Really quick, the Warpstone Cup Land Battle Finals that we've been working on forever are actually on the Total War Twitch, not on the Total War YouTube. I lied. Bye. So I, I don't do a lot of these theory crafting videos, but I've been thinking about it recently, and I think I know what the next two DLCs are. Like I'm pretty sure. I don't know. We can go through it, and you can make what you will of my thoughts. But I really got everything together and looked at all the data, and I actually just think I know what the next plan is because after I think about it, it seems kind of obvious. So what do we got? I laid out all three games here, and on the top are the factions that came with the game, and then on the bottom are factions that released as DLC in some form or another, like free or not. Bretonia was free, right? I think Norska, were they free or not? They were a pre-order bonus. I think Ogre Kingdoms might have been too. I don't know. I'm blurry on that. But Warhammer 1, we had Greenskins, Empire, Dwarves, and Vampire counts. And then Bretonia came out, Warriors of Chaos came out, Beastmen came out, Wood Elves came out. All right. And then here's the DLCs that came with those. Oops. Wrong one. No. There we go. We had the Grim and the Grave, Volkmar the Grim versus Helman Gorst. And then we had Greenskins versus Dwarves, the King and the Warlord, Skarsnik and Belgar. So each of the game one races got one DLC in their game, and then they moved on to game two. Game two had Norska on release, then High Elves, Dark Elves, Skaven, Lizardmen. Right? And then the Vampire Coast and the Tomb Kings released during this era, but it was kind of intermixed in there. Warhammer 2 actually had a lot of DLC. We had the Queen of the Crone, High Elves versus Dark Elves. We had Prophet and the Warlock, Skaven versus Lizardmen, Hunter and the Beast, Lizardmen versus Empire. Then we had Shadow and the Blade. I really wonder if I can remember all these by name. Shadow and the Blade, which was Malice versus Snitch. We had Warden and the Paunch, I think, because it was Tori of Rest of Eltharion versus Garl the Paunch. I was just trying to remember if it's the Warden and the Paunch or the Warden and something else. And then the Wood Elves versus Skaven, that was Twisted in the Twilight. Throt versus Sisters of Twilight. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Just bear with me as I recap for people that don't know what all the DLCs are. And then we had the Silence and the Fury of Oxyotl versus Torx Brass Bowl. Right. And then in game two, we didn't have any DLC factions get reworked from game two, but we did start to see game one DLCs getting touched up a bit. And then game three comes along, releases with Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Khorne, Nurgle, Cathay, Kislev, Demons of Chaos, Ogre Kingdoms, and Chaos Dwarves release. Well, Ogre Kingdoms came on release, but they were a DLC, and then Chaos Dwarves came a little later. And then we get the DLCs here. The Champions of Chaos, which sees the Warriors of Chaos get a serious overhaul. I know it was pretty lazy, but like all of the Marauder variants, all the Chaos Warrior variants, all the Marauder Horseman variants that were added all went to the Warriors of Chaos, and all the Lords went to the Warriors of Chaos too. So we got another Game 1 DLC updated. And then Bretonia, it's not listed here because it wasn't a DLC, but you could technically like shift this down. And when the Chaos Dwarves came out, you could throw Bretonia and like the Chaos Dwarves in here. Because the Chaos Dwarves came out and Bretonia got that rework where the Peasant's Duty was added, their Grail Knights got reworked, all their high-level units got reworked, their campaign got reworked. So they didn't get a DLC, which is why I didn't put them in here, but they did get reworked. So technically Bretonia hasn't gotten another DLC yet, but they did get touched, which would complete the Game 1 DLC reworks. Anyway, I'll move on. Shadows of Change, Kislev, Tzeentch, and Grand Cathay. So between the Champions of Chaos and the Shadows of Change, they immediately hit all of the starting factions except for Demons of Chaos with a DLC. And with the Demons, I honestly wonder if they're never going to get a DLC because they're kind of an amalgamation faction. They're not actually their own faction, so I don't know if they'll ever get a DLC specific to them. I think they'll just kind of keep getting any demon units that are added to the game, and that'll be it for them. After that, Thrones of Decay, Nurgle Empire, and Dwarves, and then it was announced. I actually don't remember what the new one was called, if we even know what it's called, but we know it's Greenskins, Khorne, and Ogre Kingdoms. Okay, so that's all the DLC and all the base races that have ever been added. So now, what's coming next? Well, let's take a quick look here. We could do some elimination if I go all the way to the top. And want to draw on you. You can't use the tool here because things... I don't want to make a new layer, though. Photoshop. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. 1 second. I gotta get a thing, and then... There. Now I'm just gonna draw on that fake thing. Aha! Take that. Anyway. So let's go in red who it can't be, real quick. There we go. That's the size I need. Let's turn it to red. So, which aren't getting DLCs? Well, if you look closely, you'll notice that it seems like 3 is the maximum. Lizardmen got 3 within their own game. Skaven got 3 within their own game. Empire, between game 1, 2, and 3, also have 3. Greenskins, between game 1, 2, and 3, got 3. Dwarves have not gotten 3 yet, because they didn't pop up in game 2. Vampire counts only have 1. That'll come in use later. But for now, I am 99% sure it's not Empire. I am 99% sure it's not going to be Skaven or Lizardmen, because they got 3 already. Okay. Oh, Greenskins too. Greenskins already got their 3rd, so I don't think it's going to be them. Dwarves, I mean, they just got 1, so I doubt they'll get another one. But hey, Lizardmen got 2 in a row, so you never know. But let's carry on. Tzeentch just got a DLC. So did Nurgle, Khorne, and I think Slaanesh will be coming up next. So unless Game 3 is already going to double up, that'll be a problem. I think the Demons of Chaos are out because I really don't think that they're getting any more. I don't think they're ever going to get a DLC. I don't think they'll get a demon-specific one, so I can take them out. I'll come back to the Game 3 factions in a second. Now, as for these guys, they already are a DLC, and it looks like the Wood Elves and Beastmen already got one. And if we're following that pattern, then the Warriors of Chaos got one, and Bretonnia got reworked. I won't knock Bretonnia off just yet, but I do think we can conclude that it's not going to be these 3. And since Ogre Kingdoms is already getting an update, we know they won't be another one, right? But they are also a DLC race, so it looks like DLCs are getting 1 update. So boom. There we go. So we've eliminated some. The red X's are like, I am 99% sure they are not going to be in the next 2 DLCs. So that leaves us with Dwarves, Vampire Counts, Dark Elves, High Elves, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Khorne, Nurgle, Kislev, Grand Cathay, Chaos Dwarves, Tomb Kings, Vampire Coast, and Norska. So here's my thought, right? We know it's gotta be Slaanesh for the one after, because that just wouldn't make any sense if they skipped Slaanesh. They literally did Kislev, Cathay, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Khorne. Slaanesh is the last one. So we know Slaanesh is going to be here. But who pairs well with Slaanesh? Well, Slaanesh is all about killing the elves, right? So I do think it's obvious that it'll be High Elves and Dark Elves to pair with Slaanesh. Boop, boop. High Elves, Dark Elves. I think that's pretty obvious to me. High Elves, Dark Elves are the only Game 2 races not to get 3 DLCs in their own game. So I honestly just think they're due. I think that is... Like, I am so certain that that's going to be the next DLC, man. I am super sure of it. So then I can checkmark these guys, take them off our list for the next thing. And honestly, I had a hard time thinking about this, but I couldn't see... If they do... I think CA would be massively screwing up, but I could also see them doing Vampire Counts and Slaanesh for some reason, because they did Greenskins with Khorne, they did Dwarves and Empire with Nurgle, so they could be going through all of the Game 1 factions and giving them a revamp, and Vampire Counts have only had 1 DLC, while Greenskins already had 2. So I could see that with Slaanesh, just logistically, but narratively, no, that's trash. You would go Slaanesh and 2 Elves. And then you get the ultimate DLC with... On the bottom, you'll probably have, like... Oh, sorry, I forgot to include this point. But I probably think Norska is getting a Bretonnia or Warriors of Chaos style rework. Right here. I do think Norska is getting reworked there, and then CA is going to be done with them for a while. Probably get some just, like, marked type units or something. Probably get a generic Caster Lord along with this. Because look at all these, like, Raider and Melee factions. Norska's probably just going to get a rework thrown in there, and then they're going to leave Norska in the dirt. But for the next actual DLC, it's probably going to be Vampire Counts getting their second DLC at last, which they desperately need. But then also, if you count the Bretonnian reworks and the Norska reworks as quote-unquote DLCs for them, then the Coast and the Tomb Kings are the next on the block to get their expansion of an expansion. And you could have the triple Undead DLC with Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and Tomb Kings. And you could have the one of the legendary lords be Nagash. So it'd probably be like Neferata, Nagash. I mean, they made Vampire Coast up, right? So they could just make another lord for funsies. And then for the Tomb Kings, I'm trying to think who their lord would even be. In the Tomb Kings books I read, it was mostly about Khalida and Cetra, so I don't know who they'd add there. So I could see Nagash being the last of the Tomb Kings. So it'd be like Nagash, Neferata, and then they make up a Vampire Coast. But then if you do this, right, again going with the green check marks, if you did that, counts would be up 1. What did I literally just do? Oh yeah, there we go. And then these guys would be good. And then the next DLC, if you really want to keep it this pattern of no more than 2 DLCs, you could go with like Dwarves versus Chaos Dwarves or something. I don't know. And if you're counting reworks as DLCs, then Norska and Bretonnia are done. But the Vampire Counts would only have 2 DLCs in that, so maybe like later down the road, if they feel like it, they can do that. But they did, like, again, if we're counting reworks as DLCs, they did that Blood Kiss rework thing where they didn't get anything new in multiplayer, but in campaign, they got all the Blood Kiss stuff, so maybe CA's thinking that. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. I'm not going to predict everything out, but I am 99.9% sure that these are your next 2 DLCs. Like, I would bet money on it. It's going to be Greenskins, Khorne, and Ogres. We know that. But after that, Slaanesh High Elves, Dark Elves. After that, Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and Tomb Kings. And then they might just call it on Warhammer 3, and they might move on. I don't know. Because how many DLCs is that for Game 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They could do another one if they like making money, because people still shell out tons of money for Warhammer Total War stuff. But anyway, I really 100% think that we're getting these 2 no matter what, and then they'll either give up on the game or keep going. But I'd love to hear your reasoning on why I'm maybe wrong, but I'm right, and you're just going to have to come to terms with that. Since I suspect, I'm going to look like a fool if I predict this and it's not right, but I suspect that this type of clickbaity video will draw in a lot of people that don't normally watch my content. If you like watching land battle multiplayer content, I'm your guy. Hang around, watch our stuff. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.